In this video, I'll show you how to factor and solve quadratic trinomials. This is part 1. One of the prerequisites to being successful in this concept is knowledge of the standard quadratic form. And notice that it looks like y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. In order to factor and solve quadratics, it needs to be in this format. So make sure that your equation looks like that. The question asks, factor the equation below, then solve for x. We'll start by answering question A. The first thing that you have to do is analyze your A term. Your A term, notice your A term needs to be empty. And our A term right here is 1, so therefore it's considered empty, so this is a candidate for factoring quadratics. The next thing that you have to identify is your C term and your B term. This is your C term and this is your B term. You have to find two numbers that will multiply to C, and then adding those two numbers will give you the coefficient of your B term, which is negative 10. Can you think of two numbers that will multiply to positive 21 and also add to negative 10? The two numbers that I have in mind is 7 and 3. That gives me 21. Except 7 plus 3 gives me positive 10. So what I have to do is change this 7 and this 3 so that it's both negative 7 times negative 3, and that still gives me positive 21. And at the same time, negative 7 plus negative 3 will give me negative 10, so these two are the right candidates. Once you have found those two numbers, you will need to open up two sets of brackets. And the variable that we're using here is x, so we're going to use x, and we'll place them in the first position of both of these brackets. Using the numbers that we found, negative 7 and negative 3, we place them beside the x's. We have just factored this equation. Furthermore, we need to solve for x. So to solve for x, we need to set y to 0. Once you've set y to 0, you need to solve for the x's here. Now, many teachers will tell you that to solve for the x's, you take your x minus 7 and make it equal to 0, and you take your x minus 3 and make it equal to 0, and your answers are positive 7 and positive 3. A lot of teachers will tell you to do that, but I'll explain to you the reasoning behind that. Now, when it comes to solving for a variable, you have to isolate for it. So if we want to solve for this x, we would first have to divide both sides by x minus 3, as shown, and notice how they cancel out. So we're left with x minus 7 is equal to 0. So now you know why your teacher tells you to do this. It's just a quick way without having to explain the reasons why. So our answers for A are 7 and 3. So this is one of our x's, and this is our other x. I'm going to shift this over a little bit, and there it is. Let's move on to B. Now you'll notice that the equation presented in B is not in standard form. So that's something that we have to do first. We have to put this in standard form. So I'm going to bring every term that is not y to one side. Leaving this y on the left side, I end up with minus 8x plus x squared plus 12. I brought this 12 over, it became positive. Now I'll rearrange this so that it is in standard form. So there it is, that's in standard form. Now I have to check if my A term is occupied by any other number than 1. Luckily, it's just the 1, so we can move to the next step. The next step is to find two numbers that will multiply to the C term and at the same time add to the B term. So what two numbers multiply to 12 and add to minus 8? Well, the two numbers that I can think of is negative 6 times negative 2, and negative 6 plus negative 2 gives me negative 8. So just like before, what I'll do is open up two sets of brackets, introduce an x into both of these brackets, and put negative 6 and negative 2 in these brackets, and then subsequently set y to 0. If I set y to 0, I end up with x is equal to positive 6 and x is equal to positive 2. Notice that I skipped a few steps, but essentially what I did was the same process as an A. And so there you have it. That is how to factor trinomials that are quadratic and at the same time solve for their x. If you found this tutorial helpful, please support our channel by subscribing or by liking this video. If you have any further questions, visit our website at studyforce.com. We're an online service for students seeking free homework help. See you soon.